I always forget that. And I made myself a note, but I didn't stick it in the right spot, I guess. Okay. Anything else? So maybe
I did talk to somebody and they have an older version of Lightroom, and it surprised me. I mentioned something about the auto button improving 70–80% of the pictures, and it was like they didn't know what I was talking about. So I don't know how far back you got to go in Lightroom before you don't have an auto button. I think he said Lightroom 6. And I
Okay,
guess he
I don't
doesn't have an
remember.
auto.
It's been there a while, yet it wasn't great for a long time. Now it's good. Boy, I thought that was there a long time. Even it was there when you didn't really want to use it because it wasn't any good.
Yeah, I guess Lightroom 6 was a little while ago.
Yeah. I mean, we're on version 12 now, I think. I just checked that. Let's see if I'm right. Yeah. Version 12. Yeah, I don't, as far as like people using those old versions, I guess if they're not using it very often, that's why. But for me, I use it often enough. It's worth $120 a year to have the newest and greatest.
I can't imagine anybody with an old version, if they got a hold of the brand new version, they don't have the masking or all that stuff. I can't imagine going back to the old version.
I can't either.
I guess.
I mean, we loved it when we had it, but that's because we didn't have any other options. So.
Right.
Well, there were a couple topics I thought maybe I would explore with you tonight and show you some stuff that I have done, and I will do it live, so I'll switch over to showing my desktop here shortly. One of them is, you know, we have a video out on our website, the Riverbend YouTube channel, that explains about putting your watermark on a picture. And I can go over that again sometime. I wasn't going to do it tonight. I was going to do it tonight, but I decided instead of going the whole route with that, I wanted to talk to you about if you make a watermark in Lightroom or Photoshop, but we're going to talk in Lightroom here tonight. So if you want to make a watermark in Lightroom, is there a font in there that you want to use? And if there isn't a font in there that you want to use, where do you go to get them? And how do you mess with that? So I thought I would go and show you that. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to go into screen share and see if I can mess things up here a second. Okay, so well, can you see it? Yep, you can see it. All right.
Yeah.
So this is my you're seeing my Lightroom page then.
Right.
And if I wanted to go and get some new fonts, there are a couple different ways that I can do it. And you know, I'm using a secondary monitor, so I'm sure this is going to mess me up here in just a minute. Because I selected one monitor and it's probably going to take me over to the other one. So bear with me a second. Can you see the very top bar up here where my cursor is?
Yes.
So right here is our little logo for the Creative Cloud. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yep.
So if I click on that, it opens a window. I'm going to have to drag it over here. It opens our window, which is where we do our updates and so on. And if you wanted to go and get more fonts, these are fairly high quality fonts, or they are high quality fonts, but you will get this page and this will show whether we're up to date or if you want to open your app and so on. If you look at the left side and you come down here, mine says manage fonts. If you haven't been into yours may just say fonts. You can get into it by going through Photoshop, or we can do it from this application window. And if you don't have that little symbol up in your top bar or somewhere on your screen, I'm not sure how PCs do it, but if you don't have it, it could be that you have to go into your applications folder. So let me just show you that real quick in case this doesn't appear for you. We're gonna go into the applications folder. I'm gonna find Adobe Creative Cloud. I'm gonna click on it, it expands, and it says either Adobe Creative Cloud or uninstall it. Well, I don't want to uninstall it, so it's this top one that just says Adobe Creative Cloud. And if I were to double click on that, it would open the same exact screen. So I don't need to double click it because it's already open, but it would look like this again. And so again, you'll come down here and yours may just say fonts, or it might say this manage fonts. So mine says manage fonts because I've been in it already. And if you haven't, I think it may just say fonts. So I'm going to click on that. And when it does, it opens this screen for me, which this is telling me different fonts that I have downloaded or made active actually through my Adobe account. And if you have the subscription, you have this for free. So if you're paying that monthly subscription price, then you can go in here and get these fonts. So if you're looking at this screen, you'll see up here, it says browse more fonts. So I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to have to pull open as soon as this opens. All right. Wait, hold on a second. I'm trying to pull over another. Okay, so it opens this page, and you will see on the left-hand side, it has where you can choose maybe what style of font you're looking for. So if you wanted to make a signature, say, for example, for your watermark, for your pictures that you turn into Club, then maybe you want it to look more handwritten or more like a signature. So it could be maybe under this calligraphic section or the brush pen or cursive, or even marker has some that might fit that thing. Anyway, so you can pick whatever style you want, and you can come over here and it will populate with that type of font. So if it was cursive, say, for example, I'll click on it, it will populate with something that looks cursive, and you can scroll through and see different options. And we'll say, just for the sake of picking one, we'll say this Lindsay signature. And you can see I have this one activated. And so at this point, I can deactivate it if I wanted to. Or if I chose a different one, we'll say maybe this Filmotype lacrosse, and I wanted to see what it looked like. I'm going to click on View Family. It'll open up a different screen, and they use that saying, you know, that uses every letter in the alphabet, so you can kind of get an idea what it looks like. But if you wanted to see, say you were going to use it for your name and you wanted to see what your name looked like, up here it says sample text. So you can just come up here and highlight it and then type in your name. And then you'll see that now I can see what my name looks like in that font, and I could say I like it or I don't. And at this point, if I liked it, I can either activate the font by clicking on this button here, or I can activate it up here in the upper right-hand corner, and it immediately will go into the options that we have for selecting different fonts. And I can show you that in a minute. But this is how you can get some nice high quality fonts if you want to, and they are free, and you can go unlimited. They do say that if you probably shouldn't get too carried away with the number of fonts you have in there, because it could drag down your computer or your software and it may not function as fast. I mean, there's a ton of them already on there and I've imported it a lot. I've not yet noticed that it has any effect on it, but if it does, then, you know, just don't go for 100, go for 2 or 3. It used to be you could only do 10 at a time, but now it's unlimited. So, and if you want to go back and look at some more, you know, you'll see some options for selecting. So if you thought, well, I don't want anything really super light, I was looking for a very bold weighted font, then there's some different categories over here that will help you find kind of at least a selection or a group of fonts that will work with your parameters. So whether it's the width or the height, contrast, that's kind of like weight to me, but I guess it's a little different. Italic, standard, and so on. And I don't know how many people are familiar with some of these. Some of these I don't know what a slab serif is. I'm not real positive what the difference between serif and slab serif is, but maybe somebody else out there knows. But just for the sake of what is a serif versus a sans serif, I can tell you that. So sans means no, and serifs are, if I looked at, let me find a, so these alphabets or fonts rather, this one has serifs. So if you looked at it, all these little hooks and line type things on the edges of these, those are serifs. So if it has no serifs, then it means that it's those real clean, almost like this title one has no little hooks on it here, but the actual font that they're advertising is a serifed font. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
Lab, Jackie, has to do with the, like the weight on that vertical line on your letters.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's see what, they only have 2. That's interesting. So yeah, they've all, you can see the serifs, that's those little hooks and loops and stuff like that.
So Jackie, if you select one of the fonts, does it automatically go into your computer?
Yes.
You got access to it?
Yep.
No, that's great.
It's almost instantaneous. And you can also get to it by doing Photoshop. So let me see.
Jackie, question real quick.
Yep.
If you go into Lightroom now in fonts, there's a gazillion of them.
Yes.
Is this tool able to go in and take out what you have no interest in?
I don't think it is. It's only the ones that they offer you as extras. You can select and unselect them.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think you can take out, because there are a ton of them. And yeah, I don't know that you can.
Yeah, I'd
Because
rather
I was
have the-
thinking too, I don't like all of them. In non-Photoshop, you can turn off some of them, but I don't think you can in Lightroom.
Okay,
Like Hotel California.
right.
You can check in, but you can never leave.
Oh,
I was wondering where you were going with that.
Oh, boy.
Let me see. I know this isn't a Photoshop thing, but I am going to show you if I can drag this one over. Everything's going over to the other screen. If I were to want to do text, I have to get my text tool. And once you do that, you have access up here to your fonts. And if you click here, this is what I mean. This is look at all those you have. Now, a few of those I've added, but a lot of those were just on there. And I think you can turn off some, and the way you could do that here, and maybe if you turn them off in Photoshop, it will affect the ones in Lightroom. I don't think it will, but Anyway, it says filter by all classes. And if you click on it, you can see where you can say, well, I just want to see the serif ones. And so then it'll turn off everything else. I wish it would let you turn off the foreign language, because I don't, I have no use for all the ones that are listed down here with, they read, I just don't have a use for those. So it's like, I don't need to see them. But anyway, so you can adjust that in Photoshop. And over here, it says, this is at the top of this drop down for your fonts. It says more from Adobe Fonts, and there's that little symbol. And so again, if you clicked on that, it would open that page that I just showed you with the fonts on it. And so that's another way to get at these fonts if you happen to be using Photoshop, which I know is outside our jurisdiction here since we're a Lightroom group, but anyway, so that's one way to get new fonts. And the other way is just going to the web. And if you type in, here's a website, dafont.com, it's DAFONT.com, and it's free. They're all free. Some of them are better quality than others, and some of them are purchasable. Well, I think they probably all are purchasable. So what the deal is on this website, and I've used these for years, when you open the dafont.com, it comes in with recently added fonts, and that's what's up right now. What people are doing is artists are creating these fonts, and they actually, I think, want to sell them. So they put them on this website. They will let you use them for personal use. I think almost everyone I've ever clicked on has been free to use. Some of them, like I said, are better quality than others, more high resolution. But what if they use it for commercial use? Like if you were, say, creating invitations or some wedding invitations and you needed a high quality font, because you're selling them, you would need to buy the licensing for it. And I think at that point, they give you probably a higher resolution file to use. But for our uses, it works really well just to create a little watermark down in the bottom. Now, if you were blowing something up to very big and having it printed with your watermark on it, then maybe you would need to make sure it was a high quality font that you were using. But for the web or, like for club purposes, these are quite adequate. And there's a lot of them. And so there's thousands and thousands of fonts in here. So if you notice, they have all these different categories. So if you were making something, say you were making an invitation or a title page for a photo book or something, and you wanted some text on it, and you wanted it to look like, Western font, well, that's one of their options. Or if you wanted Christmas fonts, they've got those, so there's a variety of different categories you can click on, and it will take you to whatever you've chosen. The neat thing about these is, well, when you scroll down here, you notice there's only 5, but at the bottom it says all the new fonts. So if you click on that, it'll expand on it, and you'll start getting tons of different fonts pop up. Now, these are the new ones. So if somebody adds one to it, or several people start adding, it may change its location. So if you found it on page 5 the last time you were in, it may be on a different page now. So, but these are the name of the font. So they write the name of the font with the font is the way it comes in. And so if you wanted to say you found one that you think you liked, and again, it's for your name, you can come up here, it says preview, and it was kind of like that other one where if I click on it, I can type my name in, which you can see I've done, and then I submit it. And so every one of these that has the option will come in with my name, so I can see if I like my name in that font. Because sometimes you don't like the letters that maybe are in your name in that particular font. So you might want to look on from that point. But then when you find one, you just hit download, and this one's called Hamilton. So I'll hit download. And you'll see it came into, I'm on a Mac, so this is what it always does for me. My downloads pop in down here. And if yours don't do that, I can also open my downloads file. And it's in here, and it comes in a zip file. So I just double click on my zip file, it'll open it up, and you'll see what's in there. And one of the things is it's the license. So please read to find out. And I think it'll tell you, if we open it up, it'll say that it's free to use for personal use, but if you want it for commercial, it gives you their contact, so you can contact them and they will tell you how much it costs and charge you accordingly. So anyway, that's how that works. And then here's another, this one is actually the font. So all I have to do is double click on it. And for me, it opens this. I don't know what it's going to do for a PC. And all I have to do is hit install font, and it'll go right into Photoshop on its own. It actually, if you have like software on your computer, like a word processing software or Excel, something that uses fonts, it'll load it in for all of them. So it'll go into Lightroom, Photoshop, any of your the softwares that might have a font related to it. The one thing I would suggest, if you do this, which is what I do, is I will then drag them into a file that I will keep. It will be labeled a folder. It will be called fonts. And I will drag all the ones that I've added from DeFont into this folder so I can stow it away. And because sometimes when you do an update on Lightroom or Photoshop, or if you get a new computer, something like that, all your fonts go away that weren't loaded on the computer to begin with or into Photoshop to begin with. So then you got to reinstall them. So if you want to keep them because it's your logo, make sure you've saved your fonts into a file folder that's sitting maybe in your documents or something. And you're just storing it away in case you might need it to reinstall it. But otherwise, it will go right in there. I guess I should have done that so then I could show you in case so that's all there is to it. It's installed. So if I go back to, I moved that over. We'll go to Lightroom and see if it's in there. So to see if it's in there, I need to, just like you would create your watermark, you have to do it in the export file. So I'm going to go to there and go to export. Go down to the watermark. This is where you make them. Turn it on. Go down here to edit. And now when I go over here, it was called Hamilton. Let's see if it made it. Yep, there it is.
Very cool.
So now you can see it. So anyway, that's how you get a font in there. And so I thought I would just show you how you can get some new fonts. So that's all I had about that. Do you guys have any questions about fonts? I mean, I didn't show you how to use them. I just showed you how to get them. So we can do that if you're interested, or check that video that's on our YouTube channel for Riverbend. Any questions about that?
No.
Nothing? Well, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was collections. And this, funny came up with Connie. So let's look at that for a second. So I've got just some random pictures populating my screen here. And let's say we wanted to create a collection. Why do we want to create one? I mean, do all you guys have collections?
I do.
Yeah,
Does
Tons
anybody
of them.
not have one or not know how to use them?
Me, John,
John,
John, you
Yeah.
don't use collections?
no.
Oh,
surprise.
well,
I-
there's some,
This is Dave, I don't either.
oh, hi, Dave.
Me and Dave are gonna hang out like we're just out there.
Hey, I gotta ask you, Dave, since you're on, I didn't know you're on. Are you using a subscription Lightroom yet? Or are you still using your old one?
Oh, no, I finally bit the bullet and got a subscription.
All right, okay. Do you like it better?
Well, they keep adding stuff to it.
They do. You gotta keep learning stuff that way.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's for sure.
So really, why do we want to create a collection? And so it sounds like some of you haven't. Well, there's some uses for them. Number one is if you have a collection, you can sync that with, if you have a smartphone or a tablet, you can sync it with those, and then you can have your pictures show up on your phone or your tablet. So it's sort of like a portable slideshow that you can show, and you can have a variety of collections to show. So maybe if this person you were talking to was interested in flowers, you could have a flower collection and show your flowers, which I bring that up because that's what's on my screen here. Or maybe it was your last trip for your vacation and you wanted to show photos from that. Anyway, you can have a variety of different collections in there, and they're synced with your Lightroom, that your desktop version, whatever you're using. And you can keep adding to it. You can subtract from it. So if you have like, oh, these are my favorite landscapes, and then all of a sudden you've got some better ones now, you can get rid of the ones you had in the past. It's not taking them out of your Lightroom catalog at all. It's just a copy of it has been put into another folder, essentially is what it is. And so you can just clean out the folder without throwing away the original or the edited version. So let's look at it for a minute. Oh, and there's other uses for that too. That's just one. Did you know with your subscription, you can have up to five free websites? And they're nice.
yeah,
If you want to see what they look like, I have one. So you can go to my address, which is, it's kind of a long address. It's your name. So it's Jackie Gerse for me, .myportfolio.com. I think that's right. And you can look and see what mine looks like. Mine's out of date. I need to update it, but you have to have a collection. You have to have a collection set up for you to get your pictures into it, which is super simple. And I thought if you're interested in this, we're going over this collection thing tonight, but maybe next month or one of the future months, we could go over a little bit how you create a website using the free Adobe software. So we can do that. It can get a little mind bending, but it's all there, and you don't have to know how to do coding or anything. It's just there.
So Jackie, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Is there a difference between folders and collections?
Yeah,
Yeah, folders are in Lightroom. I don't understand why they do this kind of stuff to us. I believe they're the same. Folders in Lightroom are the same as collections in Lightroom Classic. I have no idea why they don't keep their terminology the same.
Isn't
I
it the
think
same
I'm
in
just
Lightroom
using-
Mobile?
I'm sorry, two people were talking at the same time, I think.
I was just saying, I think in Lightroom Mobile, there's that kind of thing too, right? Where it has collections versus folders.
Yes, so that's what she was talking about. I think Lightroom and Lightroom Mobile, I always call it Lightroom Mobile because that's what it used to be called. Those are the same. essentially Lightroom Mobile being on your device, I guess, as opposed to the desktop.
I don't think I have Classic. I think I'm just using Lightroom. I don't know.
You were just using Lightroom. I know back when I saw your, you know, the
Yeah, I
the
think
thing
it's
they
hard.
you had on your screen. It was the other version. And I know you've been doing it for a while, Audrey. I guess in my wishes and dreams that you would switch over
To Classic.
to
the
Classic before it gets any farther in, but I can't make you. And if you want to stay in,
No, I just don't know the difference. I mean, and maybe at one time I had them both, but I don't know. Why would I just open up whatever. I don't know. I just
well,
open
I
up.
think that's exactly how it happens. And I think because, well, I'll go back in time and initially when Lightroom first was developed, it was Lightroom, which is now Lightroom Classic. So they changed the name of the program we use from Lightroom to Lightroom Classic, and they gave the name Lightroom to what we knew as Lightroom Mobile.
Oh,
So Lightroom
I didn't
Mobile,
know mobile.
Lightroom Mobile used to be available only for tablets and phones. And then they decided to have a desktop version. So they decided for the people that really liked the phone, you know, to edit on their phone or their tablet, they decided they would also give the opportunity to use the same format of program and call it Lightroom, but it's now on the desktop. So probably, I'm just guessing here, Audrey, is that when we said, oh, we're using Lightroom, and then when you initially installed it, you saw, oh, there's Lightroom, and you installed it and you got Lightroom. When we were still using Lightroom Classic, and it's a real bad habit. And I notice it's not just me, but when I talk about Lightroom Classic, I call it Lightroom, and it's not.
That's probably where.
And I went to that whole explanation because I thought, I think that would clarify it for you that use Lightroom, why it's not the same as what we're using, which is
It's
Lightroom
still
Classic.
part of the cloud, right? Lightroom Classic is still part of the Creative Cloud, right?
Yes, yes. And I can put it on because it's included in the same package that we're all using. I actually have never installed Lightroom into my computer. It is on my phone and it is on my tablet, but I don't have it on my desktop or my laptop.
Well, what would happen if I deleted it? I would lose everything.
Well, don't delete it. I
Just
hate
leave
you
it,
to
but
delete.
lose the other.
But
from-
I think you can take, and I may be mistaken, but I believe if you were to install Classic, Lightroom Classic, I believe your images that you've been editing will come over as a collection
Okay,
inside of Lightroom Classic.
all right. I'll check it out.
We could test it and we can talk about this together, but it's like, I'm not positive. I would love for you to come over because I think you would
Come over to the other side.
Yeah, I was going to say, come over to the dark side, maybe the
Yeah.
light side. But I don't want you to get messed up either. And I think too, because we're all talking about Lightroom Classic and you're on a different page, so to speak, it might help you, and we could help you more often.
Okay.
Directly give you specific, do this, this, and this because of this, this, and this, where I don't know my way around Lightroom the way I know my way around Lightroom Classic.
Okay.
Audrey, this is Jay.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we live not that far from each other, I'd be more than willing to have you come over. And if you want to get this changed and that, I'll be glad to work with you and help you. Because I
Well,
think that
I am kind of a hands-on person, so.
because I think Jackie is absolutely right. If you could move over to Classic, your world will get a little better.
Yeah, well, I get bits and pieces because that's what I understand. But I
Be
am kind of a
more-
hands-on girl, so
Right.
probably
I
need to
think
do
it would
that.
just be beneficial for you to switch because you can get more help easily.
Sure.
But it does essentially, at least most everything that Classic does is just, sometimes it doesn't do it quite the same.
Okay,
Right.
okay. Thank you. That's good.
Uh-huh.
You
So.
go on with your thing.
Okay. And also back, and I have to relook at this because I cannot remember exactly how it worked, but I know we used to be able to go in, and I'm sure we can still do it. I just haven't done it for quite a while. We could also share like a web page with someone, even if we didn't have a website. So maybe you didn't decide to make a website, but you have a whole page or a collection that you wanted to share with friends or family. There is a way, as long as you put them in a collection, that you can share that with your family. I do have to look that up before we talk about it, but that is something that's available. So I thought in explaining collections to you tonight, for anybody that had any questions, or maybe I'll hit on some points that you weren't familiar with, that will give us a knowledge base so that then we can go in and I can show you how to build a website or what you can do with these collections once you have them. And I have a ton of them. And I don't use them all, and some of them I use a lot. So, but it's a way to gather pictures that you want to have grouped together that aren't necessarily already grouped together. So let's look at this for just a minute. Right now I am in a folder up here at the top. It's the catalog. And I have created a folder that has my files in it. And it was called, I titled this one Backyard 1. It's flowers from my backyard at some point in time. And I have just gone out there and taken a bunch of them. We'll suppose that I wanted to show just the best ones, the ones I've edited, and I wanted to be able to show those, you know, on a whim to someone if I was out and I said, oh yeah, I've got a picture of a rose, look at this one, you know, or something like that. So with this being all the photos that are in this folder, there are 89 of them. Well, some of them I have edited, and when I edit, if it's a complete edit, I mark mine in green. That's just my bookcase, my organization style. And then if I like it a little, it's got 1 star. If I think it's good in my mind, it might go up to a 5-star. Whatever works for you is fine because you're the one that works with it. But if I just wanted to see the images that I've edited, if I go up to attribute and I click on that, and I have 1 star selected. So I clicked on the 1 star. So any picture that has 1 or more stars will show up here, and anything without stars won't. So that's for the way I organize mine. I could have not done it by star. If I click that off, I could do it just green. Those were the ones I said I had completed. So if I said, oh, I've got just my green images highlighted, then, okay, these are the ones that have potential to go in to show someone. But I just wanted maybe to select a few of the rose pictures. So I don't want the whole group. If I wanted all these, this one's highlighted. You can see it's white here. And I could go to the last picture in the group and I could shift click. Now they're all highlighted. At this point, I could now create a collection. But what if I don't want all of them? Well, I'm going to click back on one of these pictures outside of the image area, just in the frame, and I'm going to select the ones that I want. So I'm going to say, I want this one, and I'm going to command click on that one, and I'll command click on that one just for kicks. And now I'm going to go down and I want to put these in a collection. So I'm going to scroll down until I see collections, which is under my folders. Because remember, this is at the top where your stuff lives, and there's folders in Lightroom Classic, different than folders in Lightroom. Okay, so I'm going to go down here to collections, and if you look at, it's got a plus sign there. If I hit that plus sign, it opens up another window and it says I can create a collection, I can create a smart collection or a collection set. So you have to have it in a collection, not a collection set. To use the website, to see it on your iPhone or your phone rather, or your tablet, it has to be in a collection. So a collection set is kind of like a holder or an organizational tool, but to show up in these other, I don't know what you want to call, like the websites and stuff, it has to be in a collection. So before I actually want to move these over there, I'm going to make a collection set first, because this is the way I organize things. So I'm going to say, I want to make a set of pictures, and maybe this is for 2022. I'm just going to use a year. It could be by color. It could be by theme. It could be whatever you want it to be. But I'm going to say, this is my backyard flowers. So I'm going to create a collection set. I'm going to title it, I'm going to put a 1 in front of it, because that will bump it to the top of my list so that I can find it really quick for you guys. And I'm going to title it Backyard Flowers. And then it wants to know, do I want to put it inside another collection set? That's the thing about collection sets. You can put a collection set in a collection set. So again, they don't know why they don't have more descriptive words for it, but a collection set will hold collections, or it'll hold more collection sets. It's an organizational tool. I want this to be my main holder, I guess I'm going to say. And so I'm going to create it without putting it inside a collection set this time. So I'm going to hit create. And you will see that it should come up here at the top, because it's alphabetical order and numbers have priorities over letters. So it went all the way to the top and it's right there. It's empty. There's nothing in it. If I open this, there's nothing to open. But what if I wanted to say, okay, now this is where I'm going to put all my backyard flowers in. But these are going to be the backyard flowers from 2022. And I want to make a set of another collection set. I can do that. I'm going to hit collection, and I could make another collection set. And I'll say this is flowers from 2022, since we haven't got to 2023 flower season yet. And I do want to put it inside a collection set. I want to make sure it's in with my backyard flowers. And all of the different collection sets are listed there. You just have to hit the down arrow. So you can see all the different sets I have. So there's lots of them. I want it to go in backyard flowers. So I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to hit create. And now if I go over here to backyard flowers, you'll see there's 2022. Okay, so now I'm ready to start loading up a collection set inside there. This is all just organization. And if you don't want collection sets, you just want all just collections, you can do that too. When you look at this, you'll notice that this little icon in front of backyard flowers kind of looks like a box with a lid on it. I think it looks like a file box. And you'll notice that the 2022 looks like the same icon. So it looks like a file box. And if you look down here at favorites, you'll notice that favorites looks like that file box. But when you look at favorite abstracts, it's just like a little rectangle, or two little rectangles in front of each, one in front of the other. This is the symbol for collection. This is the symbol for collection set. And if you look at my list here of different collection sets, this one's open, so you can see a variety of collections inside the collection set. I can close that and it makes it neat and tidy. So all of these have something inside them. Sometimes it's just one collection, sometimes it's a lot. And like travel, that one's got a lot. So is a perfect example. It's got Alaska has a collection set. Then inside there's a variety of different collections that I've made from that trip to Alaska. And maybe some of them will be like Yellowstone. Let's see, that was a bad example. Some of them are dated, like, oh, this was this year, 1 year, and this was another year. So you can do it different ways. But then there are down here just collections, not inside of any set. So they're just hanging out because I only have one collection of Oregon stuff. I don't have more than one. If I go back to Oregon, I may retitle it and reorganize a little bit, but you can have just, it's where it gets kind of probably confusing, but let's go back to what we were doing.
I think, Jackie, I think the travel makes sense.
Yeah,
It's all travel, but it's different places and different things. Cause I was gonna ask a question that's like, I've got a bunch of barns.
mhm,
That would be a collection set. But then red barns, green barns, and blue barns, then that would be, I'm trying to think the right word. Each one of those would be in a folder, but you call that then each one of those would be in a collection.
correct.
And all three of them would be under a collection set. That makes sense.
Yeah, my visual example would be, if you could look at a file cabinet, you can picture a file cabinet in your head, and the file cabinet as a whole, it's got 3 or 4 drawers in it. But the whole file cabinet would be equivalent to a collection set. Each drawer is also a collection set. This is why I wish it had a little bit different terminologies,
Yeah, that
but
would
you
be-
can get a little bit more specific by having that A through K drawer is a collection set also inside the whole collection set. Because you've got 3 or 4 different file cabinets down the row, and each stack is, say, a collection set. And then each drawer is also a collection set within a collection set. And then when you open the drawer, you see the file folders in there, and those are all collections. The
Okay.
folders would be the equivalent to the collections. And then the pieces of paper in your file folder would equate to the pictures, the images that you have in the collection. Does that help at all?
Yes. And are you saying that there's something different about regular Lightroom and the way Lightroom Classic is? Because this makes sense in Lightroom
I think
Classic.
she's saying that.
The titling is different.
I don't know what that means.
Like
That's like-
they call a collection in Lightroom a folder.
Is it just different?
Am I correct,
terminology?
Audrey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's. But
So
to me,
I
they're
don't know
same.
why a folder in Lightroom Classic is not the same as a folder in Lightroom.
Oh,
So it's a little mind bending, and it's because the people that have developed these softwares are not being totally uniform from one software to the other. I'm sure there's a reason, but for me, it just seems confusing. But let's go back to what we were doing, if that makes sense to you.
Mhm.
So now I'm going to put, these were taken in 2022. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll say, let's see, these were taken in October, it says. So I will say I want to make a collection of my October flowers from my backyard. So I'm going to make a collection. So I'm going to create a collection. It's going to open another window. And in this window, I'm going to title this October, we'll just say roses. No, I'm going to say flowers, October flowers. And so now what do I want to do with it? Well, I want to put it inside a collection set because I wanted it to go in the backyard flowers. However, I really wanted it to go in the 2022. I didn't just want it to go in backyard flowers. I can do that, but that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to put it inside of the 2022 drawer, so to speak. So I'm going to click 2022. And now it wants to know, do I want to include the photos that I've selected up here? And in my case, yes, I do. If I would have forgot, say I wanted to add another picture up there, then I can always come back and add it later. So that's fine. If I had clicked on a photo that I didn't want, say I didn't want those 3 to be in there, I just really want to make this collection and I didn't think ahead and I didn't click the pictures that I actually wanted to go in there, I could just uncheck this box. And so I could go and not put any pictures in it, just create the folder and then put them in later. But since we want them to go in there, we'll leave it there. It asks, do I want to make a virtual copy of each one of those? And here's where you need to make a decision. If you want to, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. Sometimes I've considered making a copy of it because I don't want anybody to mess up the edit that I've done. And so if I put this one in there and I hand my iPad off to you, you actually have the ability to re-edit my picture, and I don't want you to do that. So I have made virtual copies of them. Does that make sense? Because if you have my iPad and I show you my collection here, you also have access to my editing tools. And even if it wasn't intentional, somebody accidentally, people get a hold of your stuff and they start pushing buttons. They may do some editing to your stuff that you didn't want done. So if you wanted to make a virtual copy, what it will do is it will do exactly that, make a virtual copy, put the virtual copy in the collection, and then your previously edited picture would not be affected if somebody messed with it. I kind of like to do that, but also what it does is if you went back to your main folder, the one that's, I can't scroll right now, so I can't show you. But if you went back to the folder that housed this set of pictures to begin with, what it will do, if you make a virtual copy, it will sit the virtual copy right next to the picture. So in your folder, you'll see 2 of this picture and 2 of this picture and 2 of this, even if you hadn't made a copy on your own. Does that make sense?
Right, but the description will also show you it's a copy.
Right, it will. Then you can set this as a target collection. That means you would, I won't get into a target collection. I never use it, but I believe what that means is then every time you click on go to a different folder and click on it, it will send it into this folder. And I just don't use that. I will drag and drop it where I want. Then it asks you if you want to sync it with Lightroom.
Is that Lightroom Classic?
No, it wants to know if you want to sync Lightroom Classic collection folders in with Lightroom. So if I say yes to this, it's going to take my images from Lightroom Classic through the cloud and put it on Lightroom that's in my phone or in my tablet. So all I have to do is go to my tablet or my iPad, put the app on the phone or the tablet, and get it all hooked up together, and then it will sync it so that everything that I do to this picture on my laptop, it's going to do to it on my phone and my tablet. And every time I do something to that picture on my phone, it's going to also sync it back to my desktop. That's why sometimes I like to make a virtual copy so I don't screw up my original edit. Clear as mud, or did you get it?
It's kind
Got
of
it.
clear.
It's kind of mud.
I wouldn't let people touch your iPhone.
But you want to show them your pictures, so you have to hold it.
So if I understand right, once you make that virtual copy and you want to say, go back and edit it, you want to go back into Lightroom and edit it there. You don't want to edit the virtual copy because that won't sync, right?
The virtual copy will sync. Okay, so it depends. If I were going to be, I just wanted to do more of an edit on one of these that I had shown, I would probably go back to my original edit inside Lightroom Classic and do it on that one as opposed to the copy.
Yeah.
However, the virtual copy that we have put in our collection will stay the same. It will not change unless we do the edit to the virtual copy. Does that make sense?
Mm-mm.
So when you make a virtual copy, you can make a virtual copy of any file that you have, any folders, in any image that you have anywhere in Lightroom, you can make a virtual copy of it. You could make 10 virtual copies, and you could treat each edit different for each version. So maybe you did a really highly, you have your original, you have copy one, and you say you did a really highly saturated edit on that one. And then you have copy two, maybe you turned it black and white. Then you have copy three, maybe you did a desaturated something. And maybe copy four, you did something else. And maybe copy five, you turned it blue. I don't know, make up whatever you want. So you have 10 versions of the original. And so if you want to change any one of those copies, you can go into that particular copy and it won't affect any of the other ones. So if you went into that black and white conversion and you increased the exposure and decreased the shadows or whatever you may have done, it will not affect any of the other 9 pieces, but you have another version. Well, this is kind of doing the same thing. I have my, we'll say, one perfect edit. We'll just say it's the ultimate edit. It's perfect the way it is. I don't want anybody messing with it. So I made a virtual copy when I created a collection. So I now only have the virtual copy in my collection that I'm going to be showing people. But if I wanted to mess with it, that virtual copy, it won't affect the original one. I could mess with it on my phone. I could edit it on my tablet, or I could edit it in this collection, or I could edit it back up in the file folder. There's a picture of each in each place. They're all identical, but they're all synced. So if I make a change in any one of those 4 locations, it's going to change it in all of them. But it won't, because I made the copy, it's not going to affect my original edit. It's only going to affect the copy that I made.
Perfect.
Okay?
Yep.
So you should try it, and then I think it'll make more sense to you. So we'll go ahead and I'll have this clicked, and I'm going to click sync with Lightroom. And again, we're going to go back here and you'll notice there's just the 2 things. I'm going to hit create. And so now these are the 3 pictures that I had chosen to put in this collection. So you'll notice it says October flowers and it has a 3 because there's 3 pictures. And so I can make those bigger. So those are our 3 pictures that we have in there. And if I were to go up, because now I can go back to that file folder. And I can try to find those pictures. Let's see. Well, I thought it was in this folder, wasn't it?
It's in one backyard, isn't it?
Oh, you're right. Thank you. Wherever that was, there it is. I wonder I couldn't find them. Sorry, got myself all confused. Whoops. Okay. So you will see, now here was one of the pictures that I had put, and see, here's the virtual copy that actually is existing in the collection. You can tell it's a virtual copy because see how that little corner's turned back? That's telling me it's a copy. It also says it's a copy up here. However, that's the way I have my interface set up. I don't know if you do, but this will definitely be there, this little corner thing here. And I think copy 1 will come in for everybody. I couldn't guarantee that because I bet you my format doesn't look like yours because I customized it. So here was the picture number 2. Again, you can see here's the virtual copy. So it's in that main folder, but sitting right next to it is the copy. So if I mess with this copy, even though I'm in the file folder, it will sync with my phone, it will sync with that collection, and it will sync with the tablet. And they'll all look exactly the same. And then these 2 I didn't put in there, so there is no copy. I had not made one, and there's not one created because I didn't put it in the collection. This one was in the collection, so here's the copy. And you'll see these 3 are all the same. I had one, I made a copy originally, and you'll notice it says copy 1. That was prior to the collection set. I had already made a copy and turned it black and white. But when I went in to make my collection and I hit that make virtual copy, it made a copy of the colored one and it says copy 2. But they're both virtual copies.
Hey, Jackie,
Yes,
I'm assuming the virtual copy is a very small file.
very small.
Okay, you're not redoing the whole whatever 45 meg file for every picture.
No, which brings up a good point. So when you put your photos into Lightroom, you are putting them into Lightroom. You're actually putting them onto your computer or onto your hard drive via or through Lightroom. It remembers enough information about your file to create a thumbnail so that you can see it and process it. But Lightroom does not house the file. It's another one of those things that your mind has to grasp. Your file, your picture file is living on the hard drive of your computer or an external hard drive. It is not living in Lightroom at all. So every one of these pictures is a representation or a thumbnail of your picture that is very minor in size. It's not a 45 meg file. It's just a representation of your 45 meg file. That makes sense?
You bet.
Okay. So let's scroll back down to this collection one more time. And I want you to see this little lightning bolt right here. That shows that it is syncing with your devices. So it's sending the information, my desktop or laptop, I don't have a desktop. My laptop is sending the information up to the cloud, and the cloud is sending it any information back to my laptop, to my phone, and to my tablet. And I can turn this off if I want by clicking it, and turn it back on if I click it again. So I can turn them off and on. So if you look at mine, they're not all syncing. You can see, I mean, that little symbol shows up when I hover over it, but when I get off of it, you'll notice some of them have that symbol and some of them don't. So some of them I can get to on my phone and some of them I can't. You can choose that as you wish. Does it take up space on your phone or your tablet? Yes, it does, but not very much.
So where do they reside on your phone?
In an app. So let me show you. You have to load your app. So it's the Lightroom app. Oops. And can you see me? I don't know if you can see my phone though. So there's my phone. There's the app. See it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's in there. So if I click on that, sorry, I'm trying to get it so you can see it. That's what it looks like. So that's the collections, or Lightroom on my phone, we'll call them folders, but there they are. Let me find this one. Actually, I said it calls them folders, it calls them albums. So folders might equal folders. I got to find it. Don't know why I'm not finding it. Oh, because it's called October Flowers. So if you notice, these come in on my device. I can't, there we go.
Right there.
As whatever you title your collection as. So this one is called October Flowers. So I've got to go down to the October Flowers, and it's there. I don't know if you can, there, you can see it now. So it's in there. So I would click on that. So I clicked on, and there's the pictures, the 3 of them.
So that doesn't even go into your iCloud or Google Photos or something like that.
No, it shouldn't be taking up space. I mean, it will take up a little bit of cloud space. Again, it's not a lot. It's not like a full out picture. It will just take up a little bit of space. But it does take a little bit. So if you're totally full, it's going to probably jerk your chain a little bit.
How do you remove a picture from a collection or remove a collection?
Okay, so if you have, like, say we've got these, and I think, oh, well, I don't want this purple one on here anymore. I'm going to click on it, on the picture itself, and then I'm going to right click, and it opens up this menu. So I did a right click with my cursor on the picture part. And if you come all the way down, it says remove from collection. And so I will click that and it will go away. And it is not leaving your Lightroom catalog, first off. So you can take them out of any collection. You can move them over to another collection. It doesn't matter, but it won't remove it. You don't have to worry about, you're not deleting it. If you're in the collections now, if you're in your folders and you click remove, then now we're talking something different. But if you're in the collection section, and it actually says it there, remove from collection. It doesn't just say delete, it says remove from collection, you're safe. You can click that. So I'll go ahead and click it. And it's going to give me this. Do you want to sync do you want synced photos to remain in all synced photos? I never know how to answer that. I should look it up sometime. I usually just say yes and be done with it. So I'll be yes. And so now it just took it out of there. If I choose to put it back in there, I can go get it again and stick it back in there. But it took it out. And it did not remove that virtual copy, I don't think. But I don't know that positively. Let's see. Where is it? It was backyard one. No, see the virtual copies. Oh, that was not it. It was the purple one. Yes, it got rid of the virtual. No, it isn't. There's the virtual copy. It did not get rid of the virtual copy. So at this point in time, I could get rid of that virtual copy too. So if you, this is in the folder section. If I click on this one, my original one, it's not a copy, it's the actual PSD. And I hit, down here, it says remove photo, that would delete it. It will actually ask you if you really wanted to delete it or not. So at least there's a double check on that one. But on this one, it's the copy. And I didn't have it before I made that thing. So I could come over here and remove photo, and you can't even see from collection, but that's that dotted thing. So, and it says, do you want to remove the selected virtual copy? That's a reassuring thing. It's just the virtual copy you're getting rid of. Yeah, so you can remove that from Lightroom, or you can opt to say, nah, I don't really want to get rid of it after all. I'm going to cancel out. So let's say that we want to add more pictures to this collection we've already.
Jackie, can I ask you a quick question here?
Sure.
Have you ever had a reason or done any editing from a collection image?
Yeah, I have. Sometimes I will, but it just depends. It would only depend if you wanted to, but I have actually done it. And I've actually taken them over to my, done a collection, and I've been on my phone or my tablet and decided the color was wrong, because my tablet and my phone aren't color corrected.
Right.
So sometimes I can get a pretty clear view that, oh, it's really blue or not, and I might make an adjustment on the spot before I hand it over to somebody. So it's like, oh, my color was really a little off. So I'm going to correct it before so I have done that, and then it will sync it back to the computer.
It'll sync it back to the original folder.
It will sync it back to if it's the original copy, yes. If it's the virtual copy, it'll sync it back to the virtual copy, which does reside in the original folder also.
Right. Well, it's interesting. Just last week, I did a bunch of that, and you're right. You don't lose anything. It goes right back to the original, and it's very simple. Works great.
Yeah.
When you show somebody pictures then on your phone, do you open up your Lightroom app on the phone to show them?
Yeah.
Do you have to be on Wi-Fi to do that?
No.
Okay.
So you don't have to be on Wi-Fi. So what you would want to do was, a lot of times what I will do, if, say, for example, I'm going to go see some friends and they may want to see these pictures. And so maybe I've created a new collection, and I may want to show them. I'm going to want to make sure that it actually is synced up before I leave the house and get out of Wi-Fi range, just to be sure, or close down my computer. I want to make sure, because if you say you had 50 pictures that you pull over and then you immediately shut your computer down, it's not going to have finished syncing to the cloud. And so you then would get to your friends and you'd say, oh, I want to show you my 50 pictures, but you can't because you didn't let them sync before you shut your computer down or closed it or whatever the case may be. So you'll want to make sure that you give it time to sync up all those pictures. And so a lot of times then I'll get my phone or my tablet, open up Lightroom, and make sure that I can find the folder that I put it in, or I'm sorry, it's not called a folder. It was called what was it called?
Album.
Album. Thank you. And so I will make sure that I find it before I walk out the door, and make sure it's all done syncing. So I'll even open it. So like that October flowers, I would go ahead then and open it up, make sure were 3 pictures in there, or 50. If it was, 50, then make sure they've all come through before I just assume. But most particular, I think once it's in the cloud, you're safe. So to close down your computer and walk out the door, I think then it'll send it down to your phone and tablet. But a lot of times my tablet is not hooked to anybody else's Wi-Fi. So like I would like to do that at home, make sure it syncs it up at home where it is connected to Wi-Fi, because it's not on a data plan. And so it's not going to get it unless I get the Wi-Fi password from wherever it is. And so therefore, that's why I like to make sure it's on there. But once it's on there, I don't have to be connected to Wi-Fi. I can just pull it up and it will work. Now, if I made an edit inside of the iPad, it will, as soon as I get back into Wi-Fi range, it will sync it and turn on my computer. It will sync it up with Lightroom once I open Lightroom in the background. You don't even know it's doing it, but it will do it.
Hey, Jackie, I don't, you might have said something about this, but with Lightroom, you can only use one device. You can't, like, say you have a laptop that you got Lightroom on, and you have a desktop. You can't use both of them to sync and get them on your mobile devices. You have to use one.
Okay.
Does that make sense to everybody? I don't know.
Well, a lot of times with your contract with Adobe, they say that you only have one device, like desktop device. You can do the mobiles, but you can only do one. I understand one of the, like
Actually,
a
it's
laptop
more
or a
than one,
desktop.
I think. I've got it on my laptop. I've got Photoshop. I got it on my laptop and my desktop, but you can't sync your collections and do your mobile from your laptop if you're doing it from your desktop.
That's
that-
right. You cannot use, like, say, for example, I was using my Lightroom here on my desktop. And if Dave, my husband, had it on his computer too, he can have it on that computer, but
Right.
he cannot use it if I'm using it.
Correct.
So you can't be using 2 of a laptop desktop scenarios at the same time. That's just the way they do it. But I think you can the phone. I mean, I can do my phone right now and be on my laptop.
Did
Because
they limit you to the number of pictures you can store in that cloud?
You get some 20 gig.
yeah. You
Which
have
is
20
quite
gig, and
good,
I can't remember. Let's see. You can find that out how much you've used.
I just looked, it's 20 gigs because I have 5.5 gigs used, and I got quite a few collections.
I do
So-
too. Oh, here, I've used 7.4 of my 20.
Yeah.
And
I
so
have-
you find that by clicking on the little cloud icon up here in the right-hand corner. Okay, so John, did you have a
Yeah,
question?
I have a question. I'm bouncing back and forth with what you just showed me. I'm under the impression that the full-size files of all of my pictures are sitting here on an external hard drive. That I guess I was thinking until you just did that a second ago, that if I got a tornadoed, a fire, or theft, and they stole my hard drive, they're gone. So
Yep.
are the full-size files on the cloud?
Nope.
Because that's a lot of space.
Yeah,
Those
no,
aren't
they're not
preview.
on the cloud.
Yeah,
Only the
Yes.
thumbnail. And essentially, if you think about like your file system, if you can picture your file system, a lot of times we've got, if you've heard me say it before, you have your main picture, which is straight out of camera. And then you will have an XMP file sitting right underneath of it that's titled the same as your file. I mean, you might not have your Lightroom set up to do that. If not, we should do that. I like them separate. So your file, you still have your original, and then your XMP is sitting separate from your main file. Anyway, so those are existing on that hard drive. So if your hard drive is corrupted or destroyed
drive
or
blows up or
whatever,
somebody
it's
steals it.
gone.
okay, that's what I thought. So that stuff on the cloud, that is not the full-size files.
Nope.
Okay, thank
It's
you.
it's the XMP. Look, it's not even all the XMP information, I don't think, maybe a little bit. It's a little bit for the thumbnail, and it's a little bit, and then the other part would be that XMP part of it, which is XMP is the file name or the file type for the information of the edit.
All right, so the only way of making sure is I need to make a copy of my hard drive and then do the thing like you take that other hard drive to a safety deposit box or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, or you could get Backblaze or
Right.
something like that.
Right, or you have, then that kind of a backup system, that is the full-size file up in the cloud storage somewhere.
Yeah, and that's,
But right-
you know,
right
that's
now, I
so
don't have it.
big. You know,
Okay.
that takes up a lot of rooms. That's why you have to pay somebody to store
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So
So
what I have
basically
in
you're-
the cloud is not, it's not diddly if something happened to my hard drives.
Correct.
Okay,
So in other words, you can't use it as a backup.
right.
Correct.
Unless I want a little 500 pixel image of what I used to have.
Now, that was where things got a little different with Lightroom versus Lightroom Classic. Because you can up your you can purchase more storage space on the cloud. Because people that were doing it with mobile devices needed storage space. So you can buy, but if you're using Lightroom Classic and what we've been talking about, no, it's not storing your images, but potentially it may be able to be done if you were a Lightroom user and you needed storage for the actual files. I'm not positive on that. I do know you can upgrade the quantity of storage. I think it's like $20 or something for more storage. But okay, so any other questions before I wanted to just show you a couple other little things. So we've got now just 2 images in that file because I deleted this purple one. But what if I want to put that purple one back in there? How do I get it in that collection? Well, you come to the grid view. So I'm in my folder section. I'm in the grid view section. I'm going to select this one was the one that I had in there before. I want to put it back. So I'm simply going to click and drag it over till it highlights that, and I'm going to drop it. And now it's back in there. So I could, what if I wanted to say I want this one in there? Well, I can click on that one and I can pull that one up there. But what if I wanted something from a different file folder? What if I said, I want something from Backyard 2? I don't even know what's in this one, but we'll just see. More flowers. It's got to load them up. We'll just pretend that this one's great and it's not, but we'll say that's the one we went in there. So I'm going to pull that one. Whoops. I got to get back to my collections. come down here, there's my October folder, my October flowers. I'm gonna click, pull it in there. Well, what if I wanted, we'll say somewhere, I was in Alaska, went down to Anchorage one day, and we had taken some pictures of flowers. I want those flowers in there. They don't belong there, but I want them in there anyway. So a totally different file folder. I can take and drop that in there. Now let's go look and you'll see those all in there. So I can do that too. Now, when you drag and drop, if I didn't have a copy, I'm not putting a copy in there. So for this one example, if I wanted a copy of that, a virtual copy, we'll say, let's go back to that Alaska folder. And I had flowers in here somewhere. They got some of these folders I haven't been into since I had to mess with my computer. So it's going to take a second. Okay, here's one. So we'll say I have this image and I want to put it in that October folder. I need to make, and I want it to be a virtual copy. I'm going to go ahead and make that virtual copy now, and then I'm going to move the virtual copy over there. Well, let's pick one that actually has been edited or looks good. Let's take this one. So I'm going to make a virtual copy by clicking on the picture. Now I'm going to right click, and about 2/3 of the way down, you'll see it says create virtual copy. I'm going to click on that. And it put one right next to it. So you can see by the title up here, this is the way mine is laid out. Yours may not look like this. Probably doesn't. Mine says the image name and number, and this is the same. And then it says copy one. So this is the virtual copy I just made. I'm going to find that folder that I was putting it in, October flowers, and it's not a folder, it's a collection. And I'm going to click on it and I'm going to drag it in there and I'm going to drop it. And now there's 7. So it went, and there it is. And if I said, oh, I don't want this one after all, again, I can remove it by double right clicking and remove from collection. Yep. And now we're down to those. So that's how you make the collection. That's what's going to show up on your smartphone. That's what's going to show up on your tablet. That's after you put the app on. So you've got to open up the app and get it, you know, do all the book work that you got to do to get it to sync with your other things by your password and so on. Hook it to your Adobe account. And then it will go right in there. By the way, Lightroom on your phone has a camera on it. Did you know that? It uses the camera on your phone, but it has different abilities than the camera on your phone. So if you do that, the Lightroom phone, yeah. The Lightroom camera, you can shoot RAW, you can shoot HDR, you can, there's some other things that it does. Not getting into that tonight, but just know it's there and you can play with it. So that was a lot. More than you probably bargained for. Yes.
Very good.
So I think, let's see, I'm checking my notes here. I think that's pretty much. You can also reorder. Say I accidentally, we'll just suppose I accidentally put this collection in the wrong collection set. I can drag it to the correct one if I want. Oh, and you can have pictures. Say this picture right here. We'll just say I have this photo in this collection. Well, I can put it in another collection and I can take it right out of here. So we'll just say I wanted it to be inside my favorite flowers. So it's highlighted now, clicked on it's highlighted. I'm going to take and I'm going to drag it over to favorite flowers. And now you'll see there's 3 in favorite flowers. It did not take it out of the collection of October flowers, but it did put it into the favorite flowers also. So you can have images in multiple collections, the same image. So you can make it work for you, the way you're thinking, the way you want to present your images, and you can, yeah, you can move them right. You can move them right from one collection to another collection without going back up to the home folder. And you'll see here too, now, remember before there was just a plus button? Now there's a minus button too. So I could go in and subtract a collection if I chose to. I've never done that, actually.
I don't either.
I also noticed there was a little drop. Oh, that's just that. Okay. I actually did just drop a collection or delete one. I didn't use it that minus though. It was Connie's. Remember the other day I was trying to fuss with that picture and I was having issues and I did a collection and I thought there's nothing in there. I didn't end up using it. And so I deleted it. But yeah, that's all I had for you today. If you have any questions or you want to chat, we can do that. I was thinking maybe if you were interested, and I know there's only there's how many here? I'm going to stop sharing unless you guys think you have another question. I'm going to stop sharing now. We can always go back. I know there's just 8 people here today, but you know, if you're interested in that website, creating a website, maybe that will be our topic for next time.
You know, the other thing, Jackie, is with those collections, you can go out to the web and you can share those collections that you make. I don't, you didn't
I
show
was
that.
trying
That's
to do that.
another,
Huh?
that's another whole topic.
Yeah,
How to
'cause
do that.
a few years ago, I think you showed it and I was doing it too. When we went up to Door County, I know we had shared some of them and it was like, for the life of me, could not remember, or maybe the format has just changed. I could not find, because I know you went up to,
The format changed because you have to go, you right click on the collection. And then you have to go to, let me find one here.
because we used to have to go up to help.
You go to Lightroom links. And
Oh,
then that's the way I do it. And then you go to view on web.
okay.
And then it takes you to the website and you'll see all your collections and you can set them up. That's another whole topic.
Yes, and I got over there and I could not figure out then how to share it.
Yeah, they change it all the time. I know how to do it, but I'd have to go try it again because I haven't done it in a while.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I was too. And it was like, all right, well, that's too much for tonight. I can
Oh, yeah, that's a
figure it out
whole
before next time.
But that really is pretty effective because Paula showed me how to do that during the time when we were working on these hotel pictures.
Oh, yes.
Had these pictures
Yeah.
viewed by other people, decide what they wanted to use, and that worked absolutely slick.
It's a neat option. You know, they
It
get,
is.
you know, for our $10 a month, we have a lot of neat
Oh,
Whoa.
things.
tons of stuff.
And, you know, before I realized, or, you know, they didn't used to give you a website, let alone 5 websites. That's relatively recent. I mean, it's 5 years or more old, but before that, I was paying $12.99 a month to have a website. Now, so I ended up canceling that because I could make my own, and then for free, and it's out there and it looks darn good considering it's free. And I even created a second one because I had an art show here with a friend and I was able to build a secondary website for that. So you know, you can do up to 5. You might have a private one for family or, and one that's public, or you can't sell off of it. You know, it's not a commercial, like it doesn't have a link to a printer or anything. But, other than that, I mean, you can still,
I set one up, but I haven't looked at it or done anything with it for the last 3 years.
well, that's the bad part is we tend not to keep it current.
Keep it up to date, I guess.
I can't remember when I did put some on not too long ago. And you know, a lot of times I'll put things on and they're so far from this day that I put it on to the next time I put something on. I have to remember how I do things, you know, it's like, where did I find it? Because sometimes.
Blake
Very.
Rudis, is that his name? Blake Rudis? He
Uh-huh.
has YouTube out there, and that's how I learned how to do the
Oh, really?
website. I
Okay.
used that YouTube of his and figured it out, but you can do a lot with it.
He's in Kansas City too.
Is he?
Yep,
Interesting.
somewhere. I've never seen him. But he's here somewhere.
You have to look him up.
Yeah.
Well, that was good.
Well, thank you, Jackie.
Sure.
Thank you, Jackie.
Always something to learn.
There's so much, you know, it's like today I was gonna do one thing and then there's the other. I was telling Dave, I said, you know, he said, are you leading some class? I said, yeah, I am. And I have no idea what I'm doing. So.
Thank you. Yeah.
Sure. So if there's not anything else, we'll let you go. Actually, before we do go, I'm going to force myself to do this instead of waiting. Let me look at the calendar. Let's get something on the calendar for next time. Let's get it off of Thursdays because at some point people are going to get tired of saying every Thursday I have something to do. And my favorite TV show is on a Thursday night. How about we do Tuesday, April 25th? Does that sound all right?
That's right.
All right. So
Nice.
that will be, plan on that one. And we'll get it on the calendar so that Bill doesn't steal our date.
Oh, yeah.
7 o'clock again?
Yeah. You know, we can look at too, doing it at 7 o'clock works for me too, but I can do it during the day. If we're all at home during the day and you'd prefer a daytime one,
yeah,
I'm open to that option. Just,
Evening is better for me that day anyway.
all right. But just, keep that in mind. If sometime we want to do it during the day, we can also shift our plans. Sometimes people are like, I don't like doing it in the evening. But maybe everybody's good with it. So I'm good with it.
I'm fine with it now.
okay. Well, thank you, Jackie.
Yep, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jackie.
We will see you soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jackie.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.